kinda hard to believe a person's sentiment on wealth redistribution when they have a brand new Porsche parked in the driveway.
So wait, he just said, I think this is a reactionary talking point used to distract from their political positions, and now he's doing the exact same thing himself.
I'm sure that if my wallet was that fat, I'd be making the owners of vintage guitar stores very, very happy.
What? So you're just admitting you do the same thing? Do you know how much a vintage guitar costs? They can cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. See, so he's just like, Hassan, nobody needs to spend this money on these ridiculous performative commodities. I mean, I would do the same thing, but like, you know, whatever.
At the very least, please consider what else he could have done with all that money that he chooses to blow on luxury commodities.
Yeah, he could have spent it on vintage guitars. How do they write the videos like this? Why would you structure it this way, where you say, I'm not going to make this criticism, then make the criticism, then say that you, if given the chance, would do the same thing you're criticizing, and then reaffirm the criticism? Why? All right, guys. Never before seen in all of human history. Vaush leaking DMs. So as you all know, in the description of this video, it says, I do not give the debaters permission to look at video unless you ask. So ask I did. Hello, I said to SalariTV on Twitter. Hi there, he said in response. Mind me going over your video? I will make an effort to not be an enormous... I replied. Lol, he said, laughing. Sure thing. I appreciate you asking. With the DMs leaked and the consent obtained, it's time.
It's like a YouTube apology video. You start out with an animal to humanize yourself, to diffuse a potentially tense situation. Maybe that's what I'm doing here. No.
Good.
All right, I want to get this out of the way before we do anything else, because this is often a problem when it comes to critiquing something, whether it's a movie, a show, a video game, or in this case, a personality, which, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, we're going to be talking about. And indeed,
are you physically capable of not being a cunt to these people? I want to make it clear, by the way, okay? I'm really, really sick of having to defend the concept of debate and live streaming from a political lens. It seems really weird, because I don't sit here making videos on how, like, video essays are over or video essays are trash, even though I've seen lots of bad video essays and video essayists. You know, I just kind of accept diversity of tactics and leave it be. But I feel like oftentimes people make these like really broad videos, and a lot of them are kind of like diss tracks against me. So I feel like I have to respond to those because, you know, whatever. I don't blame people for getting the wrong impression of me, like, off the bat, because there is a lot of misinformation around me that spreads around. Like, I do understand that there's going to be kind of a bias towards disliking me it's by default in a lot of, like, online left spaces. So I try to work, you know, while understanding that. So my you know, my response here usually depends on how, like, I guess, like, the level of perceived misinfo or malice I see, but, you know.
Criticizing figures commonly known as debate bros, including Hassan Arbi, Vaush, Xander Hall, and any other names that might crop up.
I don't really think Hassan's considered a debate bro. I think he gets made fun of by debate bros for not being one.
One of the major problems that arises when discussing certain figures, whether they are on the left, right, or center of the political spectrum, is the parasocial attachments that their audiences can form with them, something we'll talk about in greater detail later on in the video. This often results in certain people refusing to accept criticism of the figure that they're attached to, and in some ways seeing it as an attack directed at them by association.
Okay. It is true that live streamers have the ability to cultivate stronger parasocial relationships than video essayists. However, like, this is a problem everywhere, right? Like, the idea of people going super hard to defend their preferred content creator is hardly specific to live streamers. I mean, have you seen, like, I don't know, PewDiePie fans historically or whatever? It's a thing.
Maybe someone who clicked on this video with the intention of shooting me down before you've even finished hearing what I have to say. You may not even be aware that you have that level of attachment, but if you find that what I have to say does anger you in some way or possibly compels you to personally attack me in the comments, I can't stop you, but I would like you to ask yourself what it is that upset you, when at the end of the day, I'm not criticizing you as an individual or as someone who's part of a group. To put it succinctly, and in big words on the screen, critique of something that you enjoy is not a personal attack.
Okay, There's also the possibility that they feel like you're wrong about the thing that you're attacking, though, right? Like if they like if you like something and somebody attacks that thing on a bad premise, you know, you wouldn't like that to begin with, right? Even if you don't feel personally attacked.
I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm painfully aware that this is exceedingly common when it comes to online discourse. And to be real with you, I'd rather not wake up tomorrow and find comments from people who are acting like I broke into their house on Christmas Day and pissed on all their presents.
Too late.
I have faith that you can handle this without getting angry, so have some faith in yourself too. Anyway, let's go.
Why do they always insist on buttering up the viewer? Just make your arguments. I mean, to be fair, people who criticize me in the left do tend to get a lot of negative attention. The problem is a lot of the criticisms of me are like insane, right? Like a lot, like I feel like I don't get many moderate criticisms, and when I do, they tend to be okay. Like remember when Zoe Baker came on an ArcoPack and was like, "Hey, anarchism stuff." Like I don't think Zoe Baker got a lot of shit either. Like people come on and disagree with me, and like it tends to go. The problem is like if somebody makes a video and it's like a litany of like attacks on me, you know, like things can get a bit spicy, but.
In the past few years, the debate bro has seen a massive
True,
rise in
true.
popularity. As you can guess, these tend to be young cis men who, for the most part, are white, that almost exclusively produce their content via streaming platforms such as Twitch. They also have successful YouTube channels with large amounts of subscribers and views, where they post clips from their streams, and on the rare occasion, some content that's produced in advance, much like mine.
We gotta get Shark in here. Where's Shark? When is Shark getting added to the debate bro? Like, you know, the lineup.
Rise in popularity of streaming and audiences' growing desire for frequent, fresh content, debate bros have sort of filled a lucrative gap in the market, which was unintentionally created by the inception of long-form video essayists. When a particular genre explodes in popularity, an audience's thirst for it grows, and understandably, with a format such as a video essay that needs to be researched, written.
This is Demon Mama Erasure. Does Demon Mama self-identify as a debate female bro? Bre? We'll just say Bre. Let's just assume Bre is female bro. Does Demon Mom... No? Okay. Debate ho. Gotcha. Debate ho.
Recorded and edited over a long period of time, it can be hard to satisfy an audience that consumes large amounts of content daily. It's the same reason Disney plans out a timeline for its Marvel movie releases and now produces TV show content between them. They understand and cultivate the need to consistently consume their products to avoid a loss in interest. Because of the supposed sparseness and inconsistency of leftist-focused content on YouTube, streamers had the opportunity to capitalize on the growing interest in this field, where they were not
This is completely true.
only able to produce content without all the planning and work that goes into creating video essays, they were able to do so daily, serving as a voice for their audience, arguably becoming figureheads of a growing movement. Unlike pre-produced content, they could offer live commentary and insight on certain topics or events in the world as they are happening, all while interacting with an audience, which in turn can provide them with regular material to discuss, ensuring that streamers don't find themselves in a position where they're left without anything to talk about. They're essentially the most interesting person at a party. They have charisma, a voice which can be heard over everyone else's.
That's not true. Whenever I'm at a party, I just immediately get drunk and then find a couch to sit on and just talk with whoever sits next to me. That's my prerogative. But thank you, I appreciate that.
Everyone wants to hear what they have to say about everything and anything, and their insight is more valuable than anyone else in the room. Obviously, this is basically just how streaming works. You have the platform and the audience, but the unique selling point of streaming compared to something like YouTube is that there's greater emphasis and utilities for audience interaction, where the streamer is able to offer almost immediate feedback. Unless you're someone like me, since my connection dropped so many frames that you think my stream was a PowerPoint presentation. Shout out to Spectrum for their garbage, overpriced internet, and their pathetic 20 megabytes per second upload speeds. It's 2022. Come on. Because of this ability to interact with a streamer, it's much easier to form a bond with them. You type a message, they read it out and respond. They're talking to you, recognizing you, and possibly validating you, which can feel especially meaningful when you're acknowledged among an audience of thousands of people. The majority of viewers on Twitch are very young, children, teens, and people in their early adulthood. They also consume massive amounts of content from the platform, often daily for hours on end. While there's nothing necessarily wrong,
The only reason I'm not pausing this is because nothing that he's saying is incorrect at all. How long is this? I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Like, if you're getting like an intro to live streaming or whatever.
with this, it's becoming more evident over time that a lot of people have become prone to forming strong parasocial relationships with online personalities. There's a myriad of reasons behind this, whether it's a lack of fulfillment in real-life relationships, the desire to be
but he's not attacking you guys. Sorry.
part of a community, loneliness, etc. Frankly, there's a lack of research behind this, and it's too early to say for certain, but if you'd like to learn more about this, I actually did do a video as well called Influencers Are Making You Miserable on Purpose. When you have a relationship
I don't think that I don't think forming parasocial relationships online necessarily speaks to anything missing in your like real life or whatever. I think that I think they're just something you have to like watch out for, or there's something you have to be considerate of. But like I think that perfectly socially healthy people can form them, but that doesn't mean you don't have to be like careful about them, you know? Yeah, don't listen. I'm your dad, guys.
Relationship with someone, be it family, friend, romantic, or otherwise, you may have noticed that people have a tendency to adopt part of that person's mannerisms or even personality. It's a completely natural thing. I've done it, you've done it. It happens without you even realizing, and it's only when someone points it out that you can notice. This can also occur with parasocial relationships. If there's a public figure that you admire and see regularly, there's a good chance that you'll start acting like them in some ways, whether that's an actor, singer, a fictional character, or indeed an influencer. The younger a person is, the more prone they are to doing
Or
this.
in other
They're
words,
still figuring themselves out, and if they're spending a bunch of time consuming the content of an extremely popular online personality who attracts huge audiences just to hear them speak, it's not surprising that they'd want to be like them. You may even have someone in your life who's suddenly started doing things like using phrases that a streamer says. It's not terrible. I guess it can be annoying depending on the person that they're emulating, but there's something to this, and we'll get to that. Although if you do know anyone in your life that says stuff like PogChamp or Poggers unironically in actual conversations, you need to set up an intervention for them immediately. It's gone too far. This is also the case with people from the debate bro.
it's too late for me. You know, I actually remember that back when I was like 12 years old or whatever, I would never say dog, like what's up dog or whatever. Or dude or bro. I don't think I said any of those words. And when I started saying those words, when I was like 10, 11, 12, I would always do it ironically. And in retrospect, I think of a lot of the irony was a kind of like classist or maybe like racist um impulse on my part, because the joke was that like dude, bro, and dog were all like rap words, and I was like this Beverly Hills white boy. So when I said it, it was like funny. But then 2 years later, I was saying it unironically, and it was a regular part of my lexicon. I guess the lesson that I've learned from this in retrospect is like, don't worry too much about people's vocabulary. As long as people are capable of conveying meaning and, you know, being eloquent, I don't really care what words people use. It's all fine, you know.
Genre. Streamers such as Hassan Arby, Vaush, Xander Hall, and others have a huge audience across all platforms and a tremendous amount of influence over them. Their format involves a heavy amount of audience interaction, discussing things such as current events, public figures, and ideas, but overall there's a heavy emphasis on left-leaning politics. Now, to make this clear and get it out of the way early, I don't think it's a bad thing that these streamers are promoting leftist ideology. I personally identify as a socialist, and if you've seen my other content, you'll know that I wear that on my sleeve and try to promote these ideas myself. One thing I do think that's extremely important, though, is the method in which ideology is promoted. Let me put it this way. I've had a few jobs in sales over the years, and not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good at it. It's a sleazy job, and I never want to do it again, but, you know, sometimes you gotta
Okay,
work.
I'm really sorry. When I Google searched "We Are Legion Vaush" to pull up that image, I saw this, which was posted on my subreddit some time ago, and it's so cute. I think it's so cute when people draw me. Because whenever I draw myself, I do it in this exaggerated, hyper-masculine fashion. This was like years and years ago. Vaush drawing with the aforementioned features in black and white, which are boring colors. My drawing based on a screenshot in pink, which is the superior color. Don't debate me on this, I'm 100% right. And this is like so cute. This post is probably from years ago, but it's like, aw, it's like, you know, um, I don't know. I think it's super cute. Yeah.
To live. One of the most important things that I learned, though, is that everyone is different when it comes to being sold to. Some people like directness, some like it when you're personable, etc. In a way, ideas are much like products. If you want someone to buy into it, you have to sell it to them. You have to reassure them that they'll benefit from it in some way and that they're making the right choice, all while allowing them to come to the conclusion on their own. As the saying goes, he's selling the sizzle, not the steak. Left-leaning debate bros have been beneficial. Social platforms have long been a battleground of ideas where people are steadfast in their beliefs, no one really listening to the other, and I believe that's largely because when you're just discussing...
I hate stock videos. Okay, listen, here's the thing, okay? I don't do any editing, my editors do. I love it when they put stock videos in because I'm fucking retarded. So whenever there's a stock video clip thrown in there, I think they shot it at first before I realize. This happens every time. When they throw a clip in there and it's like a dramatic shot of like a camera panning over a keyboard or something, my immediate thought is like, wow, they set that up? And I'm thinking that for a second, I'm like, wait, no, they didn't. But my brain defaults to that every time because of my tiny brain. So I'm like, Yeah, I'm like a 2-year-old, you know, like you can just do any magic trick in front of me and I'll be impressed, you know. Wah, you know. How does the face change? Yeah, goldfish brain. You're like a little kid thinking there are tiny people in the radio. I love the little gay people in my phone.
These things with regular people online, it can be hard to convince them when you're an unknown quantity with no influence or notoriety. You're just a stranger with no face telling another faceless stranger that what they believe is wrong or flawed. Streamers, on the other hand, do have influence, massive amounts, hence why the term influencer has such a broad definition. They have an audience and they're there for a reason. As such, they have more power when it comes to changing minds, especially when they're able to directly interact with them on a platform like Twitch. The streamer Destiny, who most definitely couldn't be defined as a leftist,
I thought his name was Others.
gained notoriety for his ability to deconstruct people's arguments and their beliefs in a way that was so effective that numerous people have proclaimed that it was his words that convinced them that they had flaws in their far-right ideologies and ultimately changed their mind. Similarly, Sam Cedar from the Majority Report gained some level of notoriety by...
Yeah, Sam Cedar is the original debate bro, by the way. Like, nobody gives him credit for that. But for years and years, this guy has, like, brought people on, mostly libertarians, and just, like... And the funny thing is that Sam, despite being a very nice guy, is very fucking mean to the people he debates. Like, because he's on, like, he's doing, like, the radio call-in thing, so he's got, like, limited time slots. He's not like me, where he can just sit here for 3 hours and argue with somebody in circles. Like, if somebody's wasting his time, he'll just be fucking mean to people. It's really funny, you know? Sam Cedar's the ideal man. Yes, he is.
Inviting calls from libertarians and definitely dismantling their arguments, sometimes backing them into a corner where they end up saying the quiet part out loud and just sometimes crumbling into a
Vaush
pile of
thinks he's
failure.
hot. Yes, I do.
Thank you for saying that, Sam. You're a horrible, despicable person. Thank you for having me on your show.
Sam's great. He gets a pass. The internet.
See, Sam always gets a pass. He can say it. Why can't I say it?
It's pretty great, right? You can do stuff like... look
Oh, wait, we're surf sharking. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's see where he goes with this.
nice pictures, check out some memes, buy stuff you
Fuck, never mind.
don't need while drunk at 3 a.m. helps you remain secure and anonymous while you're connected to the internet by routing your public Wi-Fi
I don't think
network while you're
Surfshark will
out and
pay
about.
him less if
That
I
app
skip
ensures that
past
no one
the
can
ad
snoop
part.
and get an additional 3 months.
Man, this is a committed...
And that's because they're genuine web today. The fact that debate bros are changing people's minds isn't the problem. The less people investing in far-right ideology, the better. The issue comes with the kind of people debate bros are creating, and how they in turn go about changing minds. Although debate bros might be somewhat effective at changing people's minds thanks to their influence paired with the way that they use their words, as I mentioned a moment ago, the average person doesn't have much power unless they're truly gifted. One thing I've noticed over the past few years is the higher frequency of people on the internet and sometimes real life who approach political discussion in a way that's not productive, to put it kindly. Is the kind of person who will go on subreddits or Discord servers containing groups...
I don't know how much that's true. The only real change that I've noticed to discourse is that over the past 2 or 3 years, conservatives in this country have more openly bought into anti-empiricism as a part of, like, Donald Trump's, like, haha, all politics is trolling kind of thing. But even back in, like, 2014 with Gamergate, it was really bad. And then before that, it was the New Atheists, and that was really bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know if people have gotten worse with the discourse. I just feel like the discourse has gotten louder. I don't know if its quality has necessarily reduced, outside of the more open shift towards fascism. But I can hardly be blamed for that, hopefully.
Who are ideologically opposed to them with the intention of being antagonistic by speaking down to people, patronizing them, being dismissive, throwing insults, and just being caustic. Their beliefs might be for the overall benefit of society, but the intention of this approach isn't necessarily to convince others, it's to come across as intellectually superior to them, putting across the message that people who don't align with them are inherently dumb and therefore deserving of derision. While there are plenty of people out there who are willingly ignorant when it comes to...
I don't know, because, like, while I do agree that there are some debate bro communities, you know, others, that are mostly about, like, the egotistical satiation of a perceived intellectual superiority and that don't have much to do with, like, a principled advocacy for any actual positions. The idea of, like, condescension being specific to, like, the debate bro community, I don't think is true at all. Because the most condescending motherfuckers on here are, like, the woke scoldy video essay types, right? Like, I have to put it another way. I've never made a video on how, like, video essayists are, like it's bad and they shouldn't do video essays or whatever. But, like, there are lots of videos out there. Not necessarily this one, but there are videos out there where it's literally like, yeah, just debating is just bad, period, you know? And it's like, well, come on, you know? I don't know. I don't know. It's really hard to say. Like it's like trying to figure out where one particular corn kernel came from in the middle of a food fight in a cafeteria. Like I don't know. There's a lot of shit going around.
Discussing politics, beliefs are formed through a variety of deep and complex ways. They're interwoven with your socialization and environment, and I personally don't believe that it's right.
In my brain, I'm thinking like, dude, he set up this shop with all these
socialization
protesters
and environment.
Dude, how much did this video cost to make?
And I personally don't believe that it's right nor fair to accuse someone of being stupid just because they don't share your beliefs. Debate bros are
No, wait, you totally can. Yeah, if the belief is stupid, I think that's okay. Wait, yeah, for sure, for sure. If a person believes like the earth is flat or whatever, like, yeah, you can call them, like, yeah, I mean, maybe calling them stupid isn't the most convincing or effective tactic for changing their mind, but like, come on, they believe the earth is flat. Like, what do you know, you gotta say something, right?
Infamously antagonistic towards those who don't align with their belief system. They may not be heading into online spaces to antagonize strangers, but their overall approach to dealing with those who don't agree with them closely mirrors that of those that do, and I think it's safe to say that's not a coincidence. If, for example, you watch Vaush's stream, you'll notice there's sort of a theme in the behavior of the audience and Vaush himself. The majority of viewers are people who watch regularly, and therefore they agree with Vaush, something which is to be expected. They ask him questions about various political issues, sometimes public figures, and in general there's a consensus on these things. Vaush and other debate bros, though, have...
Oh, hold on. Consensus might be a strong word, in large part because my audience and I fight like 3 times a stream. But consensus on a lot of issues, but I do argue with my community a unique amount, I think.
Sold themselves on the premise of being leftists who don't get bogged down with the left's supposed demand for niceties and politeness. They tell it like it is. They don't want to be held down by wokeness or the need to maintain a squeaky clean public image.
Okay, I want to clarify here, because wokeness has like 87 definitions. I don't want my community to be held down by like gatekeepy woke scold type stuff. I don't want it to be held down by civility politics, but I do want them to be held down by progressivism because it's a progressive community, so it's not so much being held down by as carried by, right? Like that's I like go in my community, right? My community is literally packed to the brim with trans people. Not just trans people, like furry, non-binary, neo-pronoun, xenogender trans people. I'm not just talking like, I guess like normal, like we're talking like some deep left trans people, some truly avant-garde transgenderedness going on there. And I think that could only really happen in a community that's deeply progressive, you know. But it's also a community where I am biologically incapable of not saying retard, you know. But it's not about, but like that's ableist to say retard. It is. But at the same time, my community is chock full of autistic and ADHD-ridden people. There are a lot of people in my community who are neuroatypical, including myself. And the community is very respectful towards those people. You guys all know that, don't you? Like in my Discord, Reddit, or whatever, if you're any kind of neuroatypical, the community does treat you good. Like my mannerisms don't translate into a kind of like callous disregard for those groups. So that's my pride. Like that's my like I like that, you know? It's to me, it's like the distinction between the aesthetic and the substantive, where like maybe there's kind of like an aesthetic of regressive behavior, but like the core is consistent. And you know, it's not perfect, of course. It's never going to be perfect, but I think good work is done.
They represent that anger that we all feel about the status quo, about the wealthy and the powerful who control our lives with the invisible hand of capitalism, and our skepticism towards leadership. It's perfectly fine to be angry at these things, I know I am, but I also don't believe anger should be a brand, because communicating via anger is extremely dependent on the situation, and when you have debate bros
I do agree with that, but I don't think I communicate via anger. I think, maybe more so I used to. I feel like I tend to be I don't think I'm that angry of a person, really. I think I can be very aggressive during debates, but the aggression isn't really an anger thing. It's more of like a kind of a controlled rhetorical focus. I know, oh yeah, I'm certainly loud, you know.
convincing people that anger should be their go-to when attempting to convince others that they're right, I don't think it's as productive as people think and can ultimately do more damage than good. Just look back at the 2000s and the early 2010s when edgy internet atheism was all the rage. There was no shortage of creators on YouTube who made careers out of pointing out the ridiculousness of religion, that it existed only for those who were incapable of understanding and accepting science and logic. These were the people who inspired others to behave in similar ways, posting screeds about how they feel enlightened, living their lives knowing there's no God, creating memes for other atheists to enjoy, and going out of their way to belittle those who don't agree with them. The movement undoubtedly inspired some people to change their beliefs, but when you look back on it now, it's just embarrassing. And I'm sure that a lot of people who participated in it are embarrassed about how they act.
I think a lot of the new atheist stuff was embarrassing in large part because of its aesthetic, you know, like the fedora tipping enlightenment or whatever. But the main issue was that the new atheist movement, so much of it really did denigrate into yeah, like aesthetic satiation of perceived intelligence. Like, so much of being a new atheist was just about like how enlightened and logical you were. It wasn't about the actual things you were trying to promote. And the new atheist communities were full of people who would condemn Islam for being like homophobic, but then themselves be homophobic, right? That happens so goddamn often. Like and that's why there was such like a synchronicity eventually between like the new atheist crowd and the reactionary crowd. Obviously there are exceptions. I mean, right now TJ is an anarchist, a progressive anarchist. I'm a good friends with him. But yeah, it's rough out there. Oh, I was fedora pilled too, Ryan Alec. Kill.
Now, sure, going into Barnes and Noble and putting some copies of the Bible and the Quran into the fiction section was the funniest shit in the world when you were 14 years old, but as an adult with car payments, taxes, back pains, a favorite laundry detergent, and a curfew on drinking coffee after 6 p.m. on weeknights, it's really tough to look back on that version of yourself and convince yourself it was just immaturity and you weren't just being an arsehole. Some people might even look back at themselves and ask, why was it so important that
I wish that he would provide more specific examples, because even if there are like bad elements here, isn't there something reasonable worth pointing out? Like fighting for secularism and humanism, like even if it's being done in kind of like a cringy way, is still like there's still something there, right? And I wish like an example would be given with, I don't know, with people like me. It's like, okay, so give an issue, like what's my way of handling it that has a problem, or like what's the, you know, like within the specifics, right? Because he's already acknowledged that the fighting for leftist politics thing is something he can get behind. It's just, how do you do it? Well, how do I do it, right?
People know how much smarter I am than them, that I figured something out that even my parents couldn't, yet they insisted it was true. But that's kind of a part of being a teenager, wanting to feel like you have some importance, that you have answers to difficult questions, and therefore what you have to offer the world is valuable, which is often why disaffected teenagers turn to strangers on the internet for validation, because they can do so without having to reveal their age or experience. I look at what's happening with the left right now, and I can't help but recognize a similar pattern. And while I
so this is what I mean. Like, this is where I need like an example being given, right? So the problem that I had with the new atheism movement wasn't just that the guys in it were f***ing annoying, which they were, but also that it never really like meaningfully addressed the problems with religiosity in America or whatever. A lot of it was just like an edgy internet venue for Islamophobia, with very minor critiques of institutional Christianity. It didn't like do the stuff that it could have done. It actually worsened that stuff in a lot of ways, which is why a lot of the new atheist figureheads, you know, ended up being reactionaries, right? Like how many did, like most of them didn't they? God, yeah. Like they all kind of turned that way, because if you're like logically like, if God is all powerful, then can he microwave a burrito? Even he can he, like that's one step away from, well, if you're so logical, then how do you attack helicopter identify pronoun? Like it's the same smarmy like unwillingness to actually engage with the subject material because you want to feel smarter than the other person. Ben Shapiro kind of like hits this to a T, where he'll say incredibly stupid shit. But like, you know, the way he does it is meant to make him look smart, and then you look in the comments and people are like, you know, Ben epically logic the retard brained stupid dipshits with his gigantic head, you know. But I don't know if that really defines the kind of content that I do, you know? Yeah. Hips Yamaka, yeah.
I can say that I'm happy that so many people are latching onto leftist ideas. I'm not particularly happy with how much of a striking resemblance it bears to that era of the edgy internet atheist. I really care about this stuff. A lot of people do. It's
Me too.
important, and I really don't want people to get older and reflect upon the time that they were edgy leftist in their teenage years and diminish the value in a message that they were trying to spread.
So this is what I mean. What do we mean? Like, what is the diminishing factor here? Like, when we, like, what about this is diminishing? You know, that's what I want to know. Like, what here is lesser than other mediums of engaging with leftist content or producing leftist content? You know, I'm just as much a person as any of the people watching me, so it's, you know,
productive ways. I want people to keep caring until the day they die, but I also want them to understand the ways in which this ideology is being promoted through debate bros isn't always helpful. I'm really glad that they're lighting.
It was all only the Christians, rarely ever Islam. I think it depended on like what stage the new atheism stuff was in, right? Because Christians, because a lot of the new atheist like movement to begin with was like 12-year-olds, and of course 12-year-olds in the States are going to mostly deal with Christians. But as it like kind of developed outwards, and larger figures got involved, like the institutional powers that be got kind of keyed in, and you know, since we were still involved in the quagmires, it seemed like I distinctly remember, who was it? Was it Dawkins? When did the Bill Maher? It might have been Bill Maher. I just remember there was like this turning point where online atheism suddenly got way more concerned. It might have been after Charlie Hebdo, actually, now that I think about it. Because if there's anything that edgy internet atheists like more than their gigantic brains, it's like the concept of free speech. So in 2011, yeah, when all those people died, I don't know. I'm sorry. We're digging. This is kind of tangential. Sorry.
This fire in people, but it's not helpful when the same fire is used in an attempt to burn other people down rather than help them light their fires. Look, if you like these people, I'm not going to tell you not to, or that you're wrong in doing so. I'm sure that plenty of you are able to recognize the problems with debate bros, but watch them for the sake of entertainment or just keeping up with what's happening in the world. So I don't want you to think that I'm saying that you're so malleable that your entire personality is just being rewired just by watching them. But like,
it is though. But again, what is the issue at hand here, right? So people watch my content, they consume leftist stuff, you know, they learn about so like what, because he's talked about like being mean or like being edgy or whatever, but I feel like I'm not getting a substantive explanation of what the issues with this type of content creation or consumption are. You know, like there are video essayists who are edgy and kind of mean, right? Like that's not you know, that's not unknown. My favorite leftist podcast, aka my favorite podcast, well, there's your problem, is pretty edgy, you know, and not at all like woke scoldy. Like they're pretty condescending, they're pretty edgy. I like them a lot, but is that would they fit in the same like purview? What about Chapo? Like Chapo, the Chapo boys are edgier and ruder than me, right? Also, they get to they get to make jokes that I can't, because having multiple people on a podcast means that you have different ethnic and religious groups that you get to offend because you have a representative of those groups. You know, so do they not? I would criticize the Chapo boys for these reasons, because I think after Bernie lost the 2020 primary, the Chapo guys fell into complete doomerism. Funnily enough, for people who sneer at electoralism, not getting socialism through electoralism like completely like deflated them, and it just turned them into these like doomer, like shit boy cynics who exist exclusively to make fun of other people for caring. So I would say, if anything, that's like the prominent example of the problem with that kind of behavior, but I don't really know.
Like I said, some people do internalize this stuff. What I want you to consider, though, is how streamers like Hassan, Vaush, Xanderhall, etc. serve as figureheads and represent you and your ideology. Whether you like it or not, these streamers do serve as a kind of standard bearer, especially to those on the outside looking in. They're the ones that people look at when intrigued about what we have to offer.
This is true, but also the case of all content creators. Like this is the case with Contra as well.
And how willing we are to include and educate people with differing perspectives. You may argue that we don't have representatives, but sorry, that simply isn't true. It's just how it is now. Political ideology has long been a form of brand, and figures on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and elsewhere reinforce that. And before anyone says it, yes, I'm guilty of reinforcing that too. And I'm not happy about it, but that's something I might talk about in a future.
Wait, why be unhappy about it? This is literally just how it works. Like, ideologies and political causes have always been kind of drawn towards and built around, like, prominent charismatic figures, right? That just seems like an inevitable, like, human thing. And if it applies to everyone, then I don't know how it's relevant to the debate bros.
Future video. Let's just say we should have paid more attention to Mark Fisher. Since we're in this position now and there's seemingly no going back, I would like it so that the people who do represent my ideology do so in a way that's not only inclusive, but palatable for the general public, the ones who aren't already on our side or sitting on the fence. As things stand, I don't think that's the case, and while fingers can be pointed at numerous people for this, the notoriety and influence of debate bros worries me the most. As I already mentioned, they have a brand of being edgy. They're known to yell at others, speak down to them, and sometimes be insulting, something which you can imagine isn't conducive to winning over people who don't agree with you.
So I think this has more today. I think this has more to do with live streaming than debate bros, because I have seen live streams where Contra argued with other people. Back in like 2017, 2018, I think Contra did a couple of live stream debates alongside Destiny, funnily enough. In which case she yelled at people, talked over them, so on and so on. It's almost like live conversations between people who disagree fundamentally on human rights issues are actually going to get pretty heated. I mean, right? Like, yeah. But I don't know. That's not really a debate thing at all necessarily. Like, it's hard. Doing a live debate for an audience is difficult, especially when the stakes are this high. You know, you've got like your career and your channel behind you, and you're usually debating people whose job it is to do this as well. You're not just debating random people casually. Like, this is you're having a conversation with people who fundamentally disagree, sometimes on stuff as significant as your right to exist. And they're trained on how to do this effectively. So you have to be trained on how to do it effectively. Like, it's a high stakes environment, right? Like, it's, you know, talking down to people and yelling just seems like a natural consequence of that kind of engagement.
I mean, when was the last time someone won an argument by repeatedly calling the other person stupid? They're brash.
Oh, wait, that happens all the no, that happens all the time. Keep in mind, by winning an argument, it doesn't you don't, like, winning an argument just means that at the end of the day, you came away looking better. If by having the correct position in the argument, then you could just make your position, defend it accurately, and then call them stupid a bunch. That's actually a very effective tactic, right? Like, after you've already proven your point and they just keep repeating the same 2 or 3 lines without addressing what you've said, calling them stupid is pretty much all you can do. At which point, like, yeah, go for it, right? And if it brings people over, then that's all that matters. As long as you're not lying. But you're not lying when you call them stupid, are you?
Some like Vaush and Xanderhall even go as far as casually using ableist language and complaining about woke scolds who protest this, a derogatory term used for people who are supposedly being overly sensitive. And
a reminder, of course, that the term stupid is also ableist language. I just want to point that out because there's not really a hard line on this, right? I mean, just...
in some cases, allegedly holding back progress. They project this idea that diplomacy has become an inconvenience at a time where the world is teetering on the brink of destruction, a sentiment which I understand but don't necessarily agree with, especially when the left is often criticized for its lack of tact when sharing ideas with others, which...
Really? Is that a common issue people have with the left, that the left is too edgy? I mean, this is like a simple diversity of tactics thing, right? There are hundreds and hundreds of people who kind of represent the left on YouTube, and if people are more drawn towards like the edgier, irreverent people, then they'll go to them, and if people are more drawn towards like the nicer, calmer people, they'll go to them. You know, whatever works.
Is more often than not used as a tool by conservatives to dismiss what people actually have to say, suggesting that a lack of civility undermines genuine critique, which is honestly bullshit, but nevertheless...
Well, then if we agree that it's bullshit, have you not noticed that the right has pivoted hard into this, like, we're like truth tellers who don't care, who don't give a fuck about your feelings, and we're gonna tell the truth no matter what you say, and we're gonna debate you on Apache attack helicopters? Like, the right has leaned pretty hard into this, like, aversion to civility. The people who are most obsessed with civility are liberals. But they're most obsessed with civility when it comes to critiques of them. If you're attacking the right in an uncivil fashion, they love it. for the most part. So yeah, I don't know. Like there's a lot of nuance here. It's complicated.
It happens. The whole thing is part of their personality though, cutting through the chaff and getting to the point while being painfully blunt. In a way, I can't blame them. Like I said earlier, ideas have to be sold to people, and if you get bogged down with the details, then it can be easy to lose interest. But their audience is largely on their side already, so there's plenty of room for exploration and education. I know I don't get too deep into theory, but to be frank, I'm lacking the time, resources, and energy. By being media
Theory's dumb anyway. Don't worry about it. I'm giving him the pass.
personalities and having parasocial links with their audience, there's also an unfortunate tendency for people to excuse their words and actions, and sometimes go as far as viciously defending them, often by saying that because they've done some good, that automatically overrides anything bad that they may do, that because they have this ability to intellectually dominate detractors, their less favorable opinions should be brushed off. Some will even go as far as reinterpreting what they said in lengthy Reddit posts, performing mental gymnastics so complex that it would make a Cold War-era Russian Olympian green with envy.
By the way, this is a real thing, though. That Destiny's community has this very interesting pathology where he'll say like the 14 words on stream or something, and then somebody in 8 seconds will type up a novelette on on how actually it's a progressive sentiment that's actually satirizing the left or something. I don't fucking know. You know, his community does like doing that. It's pretty funny.
I'm not going to tell you what to do with your time.
You're gonna love what's next. Oh well, he's talking right now about communities defending stuff and claiming that there's not enough context to fully understand its meaning. So I have a feeling what's coming next, actually.
Time and energy, but maybe, just maybe, you should take into consideration what else you can invest it in before spending a huge chunk of your day defending stuff like this.
Context?
In fact, and this is going to be a real hot take,
oh, we're playing the clip too. God damn, hit me up.
I've yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child should be illegal.
Do they need to be
Child dolphins should be illegal? Wait, why the fuck should owning child dolphins be illegal? I'd like to see his arguments on that point. He'd get fucking owned by me in a debate. Is it fair of me to say it's probably a little bit fucking bad faith to throw that in there? It's not hard to like find the entire context of that. You know, it's out there. Not that complicated, the full context either.
defended? No, they're perfectly capable of defending themselves without much risk of losing their audience or income. Do they deserve to be defended? No, not necessarily.
But what if I'm simply comparing possession of child pornography to child slavery, in that both things are bad? What if that was the point? What if that was what I was doing? Will be the sort of the revolutionary vanguard. The year is 2038, you know, and I've just reconquered the United Socialist States of America. And while I'm you know, sort of erecting the Red Star American flag over the ruins of Washington, you know, a reporter runs up to me and asks me for context.
The slightest. If you say or do something bad, you should take ownership of it and pledge to do better, which is yet another problem. Debate Bro streamers are arguably incapable of accepting criticism from other people. This
What?
just is the kind of thing that happens when people become big names. If you have a legion
Also, is this the only clip he's played up until now? Wait, I think so. Actually, wait. It's a 42-minute video, 23 minutes in, and the first time you're going to have anyone's voice but your own play, and it's that? Alright. Okay. Alright, I see what we're up to here. You know, like I said, I don't hold people too much in contempt for, like, believing a bunch of shitty stuff about me, because people sure do make it their, like, life mission to spread that misinformation. But at the same time, like, I don't know. It feels like it's being thrown in there with so much joy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like, oh, I believe bad things about Vaush, you know. It's like, ha, try defending this! And then you throw it out. But, like, you can't, like, like, the full explanation for this is, like, everywhere. It's not that hard to find. Which makes me feel, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just interesting in a video... In a video where I'm the one being impugned for toxicity, the only voice clip that would be included in this video thus far is one that was clipped out of context by a neo-Nazi in an effort to defame me while I was making an argument against the abuse of children, and has since spread largely from those people, and that's like the one clip. Like, I don't know. It's like, well, are we really being civil? I don't know. Yeah.
of people telling you that you're right all the time and are willing to defend you to the hilt, it's not surprising that you develop a distaste towards criticism. Being wrong sucks. We all know that. In fact, here's a little bit of neuroscience for you. The anterior insula and the anterior cingulate cortex are the parts of the brain which activate when experiencing physical pain. They also get activated when experiencing emotional pain, i.e. being wrong. I just found that cool, to be honest with you, and I want
This is how blue balls works. When she stops and she stops sucking, it hurts the heart, and that's why your balls hurt. It's true.
to share it, but regardless, it doesn't excuse someone from refusing legitimate criticism.
Also, again, how does this not apply to literally everyone? Like, I'm trying not to complain about it, but this is incredibly condescending, obviously. But, like, so, like, wouldn't everyone then not like being told they're wrong? Like, why is this a me thing, right? It's always this, like, people are like, well, debates are bad because you can spread misinformation, as though you can't do that through a video essay. Well, debates are bad because you can be mean, as though you can't do that for video. Like, what is specific to the video essay? Or sorry, to the debate bro.
Not only does it reflect poorly on them, it once again is influencing behavior in more impressionable minds, and influencers shouldn't be infallible. If you want to get some idea about how stubborn debate bros can be when it comes to accepting criticism, I recommend you check out JXE's video about his running with Hassan.
Okay, this is totally fucking valid. Hassan acted like a bitch throughout all of this. However, in addition to Hassan not being debate bro, second of all, there are tons of video essayists who are also incredibly fucking stubborn. They just aren't on a live stream. I don't think a lot of people don't really understand this, okay? But if you took your average video essayist and you locked them in a room with a camera on them for 8 hours and then had them interact with a live stream chat, like 2 out of 3 of them would be in jail or have killed themselves by the end of it, okay? If you are live streaming, every emotional and social tendency you have is going to be magnified because you can't edit. It's all happening live. So if you're a naturally stubborn person, like say, for example, ContraPoints is, as evidenced by the literal multi-hour videos she's made on her obstinate, opposition to some types of criticism, and you're in front of a live stream, all of that stuff is going to come across way worse. But that's not like a debate bro thing. Like, I don't know if the argument here is that leftists just shouldn't live stream. Like, this is just a medium that shouldn't be, that shouldn't be engaged with. But yeah, like, all this stuff is going to come out way more. Think of all the video essayists I've had on my stream who showed their ass in, like, no time at all, right? I mean, it's difficult to do this, you know? It's not difficult to live stream, but it is difficult to live stream talking about politics without looking like a fool.
Essentially stealing views from his video.
And you can tell because I can't do it.
A shortened version, Hassan watched one of Jay's videos on stream without prior consent or credit, and when Jay called him out for it, Hassan didn't handle it particularly well, claiming that he gave him a fat bump in views, which wasn't true, then pledged to never show
I think JXC is she, her. That's probably just a mistake.
Jay's videos on stream again, completely missing the point. It's worth a watch, and Jay's good people. The link's below. Reacting to content has become the bread and butter of a lot of streamers, and debate bros are no exception. They'll open up a YouTube video, occasionally say something about it, maybe let out a light snort out of their nose to show that they're amused, maybe respond to what the audience is saying, or...
This is a Hassan thing. I can't stop pausing the video. Hassan does do this. The Hassan viewer experience.
They might just leave it playing to an empty chair while they go heat up a frozen ready meal or take a dump. Cannibalizing content is nothing new, but when you have a huge platform with thousands of people watching, the very least that you can do is tell people to check out a channel if they liked what they saw.
I don't disagree with this, by the way. And for what it's worth, I try to do this. When I like a channel and I watch a video of theirs, like Echo Gecko or whatever, like I'll yell at you guys to go sub. I'll do sub trains on them, you know? Yeah.
You don't have to endorse them. Obviously, there's some issues attached to that.
Unlearning economics,
but the fact is, showing someone's content on a stream isn't the boost that people think it is. As JXE points out, it's a couple hundred extra views, which is essentially nothing.
Just such a fucking dingus, dude. They'll just show their channel name, dumbass. How is that so fucking hard? Like, what is this attitude that you have?
This is a whole issue unto itself that I may get into someday, but for now, I'll put the links to a few videos that I like on the subject down below. Welcome to the Boost Bust, the section in each video.
I wish this video was just on Hassan, because Hassan legitimately cannot take criticism. I will never let go of this, because I'm petty too. But I will never forget Hassan having shit-ass takes on Ukraine, and then my community was criticizing him for it, and then he DM'd me asking me to tell my community to stop criticizing him for it, or something like that. It was, yeah. And then my response was like, have you tried not having shit takes in Ukraine? And he stopped responding. It's like, god damn, man. Yeah, meanwhile, his mods, like, banned all of my viewers from his chat. Like, everyone who was positive about me in his chat got cold by his mod team, and he never did anything to stop that. So I don't think I exactly owe him any favors when it comes to community cultivation.
Video where I take a moment to promote small content creators from various backgrounds and disciplines who could do with a bit more attention. This time I'd like to show you the work of Lona Karaman, aka Harman. Harman works as
Alright, I love and respect all of these small creators. However, I am here for a critique. Oh, is this like an art thing? Oh, this person's... Wait. That's actually really good. Okay, yeah, okay, well, okay, I'll watch. No, that's fine. Sure, yeah, okay. No, whatever, okay.
the section in each video where I take a moment to promote small content creators from various backgrounds and disciplines who could do with a bit more attention. This time I'd like to show you the work of Lona Karaman, aka Harman. Harman works as a professional artist.
I should do the reverse of this, where instead of the boost bus, I do like the drought bus or something, where I say like, please unsub from this channel and also like leave hate messages or something. Just, here are 3 small channels I want you to ruin the lives of.
On all types of work, including creating book covers, but their passion is painting characters from Dungeons & Dragons and World of Warcraft, which comfortably stand side by side with...
I was thinking this was WoW. Well, this obviously is because the Horde symbol, but, well, not Horde symbol, you know what I mean. It's been a while since I've done WoW.
Other great artists in the fantasy genre. As you can see, her work is wonderfully vibrant, filled with personality, and makes amazing use of lighting and...
Yeah, this is like definitely a WoW design right here. It's the giant pauldrons and stuff.
Schemes. Each character she paints is vastly distinct from one another and contains a genuine love for their video game and tabletop inspirations. Harman is also open to commission and does bust sketches for all of her higher tier patrons on Patreon each month. So if you'd like some bespoke art from her, then check out her links below, including her ArtStation page, where you can see a wide selection of her incredible artwork. Be sure to also follow her on her socials, and if you can, offer some financial support. If you'd like a ride on the Boost Bus in the future, then please send me one email to salarivideo@gmail.com. Please be sure to include your pronouns, a brief bio about yourself and your work, and links to your sites and socials. If you work as something like an artist, please be sure to include high-quality samples to be showcased.
Get on the Boost Bus? Yeah, we gotta get on the Boost Bus now. Check out this small channel, Vaush.
In the video. I will be able to reply to your emails due to the volume, but rest assured they are all being read. Anyway, I need to go see a guy about... Oh shit, the cops! So since...
too many underage dolphins.
These people are colloquially referred to as debate bros, we obviously have to consider what gives them that moniker, their ability to debate. Now, I'm not an expert at debate. I can hold my own quite well, and I can't say whether I'm as good as or better than the debate bros.
Try it. Only one way to find out.
But I'm also not particularly interested in their abilities in this context. To be blunt, I think in general, they're not very good at it, at least when it comes to speaking to other well-known figures. Against a member of the public, they can hold up well, but when it comes to someone with training, well, it's hit or miss. What I'm about to say might...
Is that... I feel like I've got a pretty good track record. I don't really think so. At all. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just sat Charlie Kirk down and gave him a lesson on critical race theory for 2 hours. I don't know. All right.
Be an unpopular opinion, and you are welcome to disagree with me or explain why I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm already this deep, so I may as well go all in. Online debates are a pointless waste of time and rarely benefits anyone but the...
Okay, so this is always the condescension at the root of these videos. I wish they would just get to it immediately. Like... So with respect, the first 28 minutes of this video have basically been him saying, debate bros have this problem, but I guess everyone has this problem, actually. That's literally been the first, like, the whole, because parasocial relationships, being stubborn, not willing to accept criticism, this is not, like, a live stream specific time, but it's always kind of underlined by this very patronizing, like, disbelief in the validity of debate as a communicative medium. But I wish we'd just get to that from the beginning, so, like, let's go, I guess. And so what do you think the odds are that we're about to hear, like, debates don't really bring anyone over, and then I'll say, chat, hypers if I've brought you over with debate, and then every one of my chat's gonna go hypers, because of course debates bring people over, obviously it's a... Like, this happens every time. Like, they're just going off vibes, you know? I feel like these people are just immersed in, like, leftist social spaces, so they're around other lefties who don't like me. So they're like, oh, well, I didn't get brought over. I find his debate style very off-putting. And they assume then that everyone must feel that way?
Debaters, regardless of whether they supposedly win or lose. Allow me to explain. When a debate is held online between, say, a figure from the left and a figure from the right, they already have their well-established audiences, and they more than likely have some form of attachment to them, enough that they would go out of their way to watch them debate. As such, their respective audiences are already on their side and agree with them on almost every level.
No. Every audience has a sort of a gradient for how much people care about the people they're watching. Not every person who watches my content is a die-hard fan. I know that because I put out debate videos that will get hundreds of thousands of views. I don't think I have hundreds of thousands of die-hard fans, because if I did, they would all be in my VGG chat. I have people who watch me dedicatedly, and I have people who just occasionally check me out. The same is the case for far-right people. I don't think you can reliably pull over like super hardcore, dedicated, ideologically driven Nazis, but there are people who are like kind of on the fence, but like haven't really heard a good rebuttal to white nationalism, that if you like tear apart a white nationalist publicly, they can go like, oh, okay, well that guy was dumb, but like maybe this other guy isn't dumb. And then you tear that guy apart, and then they're like, okay. And then they watch you a little bit, and then they sort of move over on some of the points. Literally thousands of people in my audience have had that exact thing happen to them. I got so many emails after the Tim Pool debates, both of them, with like, oh, I've been checking out your stuff. When I looked at YouTube chat, literally like 20 or 30 minutes ago, I saw somebody say, I'm so happy to be here, and this is my first day here, or something like that. The audiences are complicated, and we're talking about massive numbers of people. The number of people that are watching this stream right now could fill up like a reasonably sized like indoor like auditorium stadium kind of. No, stadiums are really big. Auditoriums are small? What's like the in between? A small stadium. I don't know. There were a lot of people here, and even more people. You know, they watch the videos. Like, not all these people are super hardcore ideologically committed. Venue, yeah, like a venue. You know, whatever.
What people hope to see when watching their preferred debater is that they defeat and possibly embarrass their opponent, therefore affirming their beliefs and further raising the profile of the chosen participant. As a quick example, take, for example, this debate between Vaush and Sargon. Both of these guys have their audiences already on their side.
Wait! This was the one debate that I accept I lost. What the fuck? Wait, I've done hundreds of debates. This is the literal one of the... Okay, whatever. It's the literal the only one that I say. You guys you'll confirm this, right? Like, this is the only one I'll say that I lost. You lost against Sargon? Not in terms of the quality of my arguments, in terms of the optical presentation. Yeah, like in terms of how to deliver the arguments. All the stuff that I was saying was correct. But it's an optics thing. The second debate I had with Sargon went so poorly for him that he swore off debating altogether and just did not debate anymore. Like, that's it. I ended the first debate career with the second one. He just didn't want to do it anymore. That's how badly it went for him. If anything, the first debate with him was just like the setup, you know what I mean? Like, I took the fall so that he'd be confident for the second one, with a less biased moderator. And then I'm coming in.
Right. Now, if the intention of the debate is to win people over, realistically, how many people do you think change their mind after watching it? Sure, there may be some, and that's good, but probably not enough to matter. I'd argue...
Wait. Even if you move one people over, everyone matters. But like, okay, so let's say you have a debate with some large figure like Sargon. How many views does I'm gonna go with my second debate with Sargon, because that one didn't suck, okay? If I go over to my second debate with Sargon of Akkad, 700,000 views in this conversation. And you know, I'm just gonna take this and not even count like any other sources by which it might have been watched. Like, I can check the individual the individual audience retention on this and the analytics if I want to, but like we can assume a good number of individual people watch this. Like, even if only 1% of people had their views slightly moved over, just 1%, that's 7,000 people or 7,000 views or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of people. Yeah. Remember the absolute meltdown? Oh god, that's right. And after this debate with Sargon, like, he did that whole like opining shoe on head thing. He wanted the shussy, and he started making videos on how she's been corrupted by Kami Cum or whatever. Because like, I was friendly with Shu a couple of times in public and publicly like friends with her, so that must mean that my virile loads are red pilling her brain or some shit. It was fucking weird, dude. There was some weird fucking shit going on, man. I guess this is the inevitable consequence of being like the darling alt-centrist girl for the skeptics, you know? Like, they get weird about it. And then Sargon, on his banned Twitter account, spam posted about me and had my dick bulge as his Twitter banner. The Twitter banner up on top, up at the top of the up at the top of the thing, was me standing up in joggers with my prodigious dick bulge, poking forward. Wait, really? Yes, I'm not. Yeah. What am I supposed to make of this? So, however my debate with Sargon went, it ended with him spam posting about my dick on Twitter. So, okay.
That their platforms could be used for something more constructive, but in my opinion, these online debates are a little more than theatre. They exist.
They are theatre.
To entertain their respective audiences, and like I said earlier,
and like a lot of good entertainment, it can inform people. Much like how you learn cool stuff about Mexico and meth from Breaking Bad, you know? They are absolutely meant to be entertaining. Entertaining stuff pulls people's attention in. Even Capital Volume 1 has jokes in it.
When some of those people are willing to go well out of their way to defend a figure, even if they lose, there's a chance that they won't see it as such because they're so attached to them.
So, okay. Even if their figure loses, there's a chance they won't see it. So what about the people who do see it? So if there's a chance they don't see it, what about the people who do see it? Well, if those people see that their preferred figurehead has lost face in the free marketplace of ideas, isn't that a good thing? If there's a Nazi viewer who sees that a Nazi figure they had a parasocial relationship with did poorly in a debate, can't that be viewed as some kind of like agitating force, like something that might sort of dislodge them from their convictions? Because this happens, you know.
Unlike something like a boxing match where usually there's a very clear winner, the victor of an online debate is rarely as certain, largely because after the fact, discourse among the audience can skew in such a way that people can turn a perceived loss into a win. What's really problematic—
That is true, but it's not a 100% process. The core is that if you're a good, consistent, strong debater, which I like to think that I am, your audience won't be moved over by anyone you debate. That's why it's a bad idea to debate me if you're a conservative. You guys will not move over. You guys are not going to be won over by Tim Pool. You're not going to be won over by Charlie Kirk. You're not going to be won over by whoever the fuck else I'm going to talk to. You guys are set and solid. You might not like me as much one day, but you're not going to be convinced by them. Or at the very least, and I think a very small proportion of you are vulnerable to that that kind of argumentation, I think. But my goal, especially with people like Tim Pool, who have a very wide-ranging audience, is to pull people over from them, you know? Because they do have a much more ideologically, not incoherent, ideologically varied audience. More of, their convictions are easier to wrestle, I think. You know, confused might be, yeah, ideologically confused audience might be a good one. So even if I can only pull over like a few people or whatever, that's good. My live stream debate with Tim Pool had tens of thousands of people watching. The videos that came after had hundreds of thousands of views. I got so many emails after that, like so many emails. I almost feel conceited that I constantly have to defend the validity of the work that I do when I watch videos like this, but I feel like I have to, because there are only so many like leftist streamer debate types. There are only a few, and I'm thought of as like the most prominent one. So I feel like I have to stick up for the medium because I feel like it's a very effective medium if you know what you're doing.
though, is that having these debates can give a greater platform to people whose beliefs can be truly dangerous. It's giving them an opportunity to spread their vitriol further and possibly convince people that they're right. So
wait, an inconsistency revealed. How can you say that if you do well, only a negligible number of their side might move over, but if they do well, people on your side might move over to them? Isn't that an inherent contradiction? How can you say there's a risk of your audience moving over to them, but then you're like, oh, well, their audience won't move over to you? Why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If your convictions are strong, you can do better. Also, why would we use this clip as an example? Hassan muscled his way onto Andrew Tate's podcast. Andrew Tate is exponentially larger than Hassan is. And what's more, Hassan did really good here. This was like literally the beginning of the end for Hassan perceptively. The conversation that Hassan had with Andrew Tate probably exacerbated a lot of the social forces that led to his mass deplatforming. And he did really well here because Andrew Tate looked like a sniveling bitch boy, and Hassan was just sort of casually chatting with him. Tate? Did I say Hassan? Sorry, Tate. Yes, Tate. Whenever I mix up nouns in my speech, just assume, yeah. Okay, yeah. Just put it together. You know, the end of Hassan. Yes, the downfall of Hassan. Yeah, yes, and the downfall of Andrew Tate. Yes, of course. So this is a really poor like supporting example. I think the problem is a lot of people like the video essayists that we're watching right now think that platforming a person is the same as irresponsibly platforming a person. Platforming is just the thing that happens when you give any attention to or represent anything or anyone. If you show a clip of Trump speaking, would you fear you shouldn't do that because the clip of him speaking might move people over? It's not as though a person's pre-recorded speech can't be found convincing by others. You're platforming his speech right there. You are. The critical question is, are you doing so irresponsibly? In this case, this was incredibly responsible platforming from Hassan. He did a really great job here. I'm proud of him for it. I'm my man. And I make an effort to responsibly platform people when I can. Yeah, in this video, he is platforming me. He's platforming my takes on underage dolphin trafficking. Which isn't really the crux of what my channel is about, but maybe now people in his audience are going to be convinced about the validity and legality of dolphin ownership or whatever the f that clip was about.
Even though winning over a few people can be a net positive, it can also be a negative. You could...
Yes, of course. Obviously, in a medium where two ideas are up against each other, yes.
argue that giving them a platform to speak on is encouraging fairness in public discourse, but honestly, I find it hard to justify when someone might just be spreading hateful rhetoric. Mitigating damage is important, but all online debates really do is serve a spectacle. It turns discourse...
So, if a Nazi already has a platform of their own, and they're already spreading hateful rhetoric, how exactly are you worsening that situation by exclusively exposing them to your own audience, which is immune to such rhetoric in the sense that they're not likely to be brought over by it, and you can make them look a fool for it? I don't like I hate these arguments because like if you think about them for 3 seconds, like they're shit. Like these arguments are pretty meaningless if you just think about them for a second.
into a circus, and nothing really changes as a result. Look, I do get it. You're upset at the state of the world, and I am too.
Don't patronize. Stop. Stop patronizing. Stop.
As an individual, you probably feel powerless fighting a fight that feels impossible to win. Our politicians and the world at large is owned by powerful corporations that are incapable of failing, which in turn are run by multi-billionaires who do not care about the lives of human beings. They don't care about fairness, they don't care what you think of them, and they don't care about the destruction of the planet, which is why so many of them are intent on colonizing other planets, so they can use up this one and become God Emperor of Mars. This frustration understandably might compel you to find people who have some influence, the ones who have a huge platform, a voice that carries across the world, and words that not only echo your sentiment, but your anger. With their growing popularity, they can feel as though you're finally being heard through them, but at the end of the day, you have to seriously consider who you want representing you.
So right off the bat, again, this is a meaningless statement. You're upset with the world, so you're going to look at content creators, but you must be concerned about the quality of the content creators that you look at. Like, this doesn't mean anything. This refers to the process of like any political discourse or engagement, like any person you could agree or disagree with.
And be realistic about how capable they are at winning over people to your cause. Whereas
this is just like, no argument has been made here. It's just to be realistic about it, right? Like so what do you mean by that? Like, there hasn't really been any substantive evidence being brought out. The funny thing is there actually are bits of evidence that you could throw out there of irresponsible platforming being done by debate bros that have grown the audience. Look at what Destiny's done with Lauren Southern, Nick Fuentes, and Mr. Girl. He's made it kind of his mission. Oh, sorry, Other. Look at what Other's done with those people. He's kind of made it his mission to epically own the leftists by, I don't know, recording deep makeout sessions with neo-Nazis or whatever. Which is certainly, you know, promoted their content at the very least. Maybe you with Hinkle, possibly me with Hinkle. I'm not sure how directly responsible I was for that, but I do think if I had known how anti-empiricist he was from the get-go, I would have handled the conversation differently. Hinkle and Haas, yeah. You know, everyone has to come into a debate with the stakes involved. You know, if there are no stakes, if they're just there to troll or whatever, there's not really a point. But I don't think he can provide any of these arguments because he doesn't know. Like, you guys agree, right? There are examples he could use to support his point, but he doesn't know them because he doesn't know anything about this. He just has, like, general vibes that he's gotten on the debate bro community. So it's like, okay, like,
angry, but anger doesn't win when you have to convince someone. Have you ever had a heated debate with someone and found that they took some time to consider what you said afterwards? Or did they just double down on their beliefs and thought that you were being irrational?
I've gotten thousands of emails from people who have credited me for moving them over. For trans kids or whatever, who, like, had to argue with their parents and, like, were given the arguments, or, like, people didn't realize they were trans, or people who had self-hate or externally driven hate, or people who didn't agree on this or that, or people who voted for Trump at this time, but now they don't believe in this or that or that. Lots, yeah, hypers, if I moved you over with my debates, blah, blah, go for it, chat, let's do it for the 58th time. This happens. I really, 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 really wish that these video essayists wouldn't arrogantly assume that just because they personally don't like this type of content, that it doesn't resonate with some people. Of course it does. Obviously it does. It's communication. Communication brings people over.
Personally, I don't want debate bros representing my ideology. I'm fortunate enough that I have a decent enough sized platform to have my opinions be heard and validated. But for those of you who don't, the idea of someone spreading your beliefs in a far more effective way might be enticing, but you also have to be conscious of what they get out of it and possibly what they gain from you.
Wait, what? Wait, did he just say that we might be spreading the ideas more effectively? Wait, did he just concede the point?
Beliefs in a far more effective way. Those of you who don't, the idea of someone spreading your beliefs in a far more effective way might be enticing, but
well, that is enticing.
You also have to be conscious of what they get out of it and possibly what they gain from you.
Wait, who cares what I get out of it if it's more... Wait, I don't force the viewers. I don't force my viewers to pay me. They do that of their own volition because they're stupid. You know, I get a career out of it. I mean, I make money from it. But what is that? If I spread the idea more effectively, isn't it okay if I make money from it? Is that okay?
Whether that's fame, validation, or capital. I am not suggesting that these people are just in it for the money, but it's undeniable that some of them have become incredibly wealthy from this brand of leftist discourse, like literal multimillionaires.
I'm not. That's still just Hassan. Sorry.
I'm also not suggesting that leftists aren't allowed to have money. It's a silly argument used by...
Wait, where is this coming from? Video essayists make money. Wait. What? Wait. See, we're still talking about stuff that has nothing to do with debate bros. Anyone who's on YouTube is capable of making money thanks to Google AdSense. The majority of the money that I make is from Google AdSense. This YouTube video had a sponsor to Surfshark. Most video essayists also have Patreons, and they make quite a bit through that.
Reactionaries as a way of obfuscating real issues, kind of like when Bernie Sanders was reactionary, that leftists aren't allowed to have money. It's a silly argument used by reactionaries as a way of obfuscating real issues. I agree. Kind of like when Bernie Sanders was judged for his wealth in his run for president. I will say though, and once again, this is my belief, and you are more than welcome to disagree with me, I do believe that when people have wealth to spare, it should be used to help others.
Okay, what the f does this have to do with debate bros? This feels like it has nothing at all to do with...
Sure, people like Hassan have donated towards mutual aid, but he's allegedly called it capitalistic, claiming that it was too individualistic and American. If I'm being brutally honest...
What? Socialist MMA Twitter? Yeah, this guy is basically a Nazi. He's in, like, the Hinkle cult.
It's kind of hard to believe a person's sentiment on wealth redistribution when they have a brand new Porsche parked in the driveway of their 2.
So wait, he just said, I don't think a leftist making money, I think this is a reactionary talking point used to distract from their political positions. And now he's doing the exact same thing himself. He's doing the, wait, why would he say, I don't think it's like I don't think this is a valid argument for X reason. And then he just does it for X reason. It's not like it's the exact same thing. Why is it always like this? It's like this like innate spinelessness to video essayists where they have to do this whole like well I wouldn't make the mistake of making this dumb criticism you've heard 50 times before, and then they make it anyway, but because they said they wouldn't do it, it doesn't count.
$7 million mansion. In fact, you know what? I want to tell you something. No, come closer, okay? Closer.
Don't patronize
Nobody needs a mansion.
Nobody gives a that's what you know what else no one needs? Your opinion. Nobody cares. Congrats. Thank you. Who asked? Jesus Christ. What is this? This video is supposed to be on Debate Bros. What? Okay, so yeah, there's a very famous live streamer, Hassan Pecker, who has a mansion. Okay? Who cares?
Nobody needs ugly
So wait, why not nobody needs 3 houses like with Bernie Sanders? Like earlier you were like, yeah, the media gave Bernie Sanders shit for having 3 houses. So how is this any different? Is it because they were more modest houses? This is the same argument, just scaled up. Like, why would you say,
$1,000 shirts and nobody needs to flex that they have money? Come on. Look, you may defend that as someone simply enjoying the money that they've earned.
Why is this guy wearing a jacket that hasn't been left on the rim of a dumpster outside for 40 years? I don't care about this at all. This I would rather all socialist commentary online be done by fucking multi-billionaires who live stream from their like golden limousines that they have like mobile internet hotspots set up in than have to endure these fucking conversations, man. I hate these. Yeah, 2 monitors? Is this this Logitech webcam, is this the C4000 or is this the C576 that I started out with? Which is 1/4 the price. Yeah, I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care.
That's up to you. I'm sure that if my wallet was that fat, I'd be making the owners of vintage guitar stores very, very happy. But at the very least, please consider what else he could.
What? So you're just admitting you do the same thing? Oh, do you know how much a vintage guitar costs? They can cost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. See, so he's just like, Hassan, nobody needs to spend this money on these ridiculous performative commodities. I mean, I would do the same thing, but like, you know, whatever. Why? At least a car and a house serve like a you know, like some kind of like broader utility, I guess. I mean, I know guitar does as well. I'm not smirching the arts here or anything, but
Could have done with all that money that he chooses to blow on luxury commodities. It's champagne socialism. So that if my wallet was that fat, I'd be making the owners of vintage guitar stores very, very happy. But at the very least, please consider what else he could have done with all that money that he chooses to blow on luxury commodities.
Yeah, he could have spent it on vintage guitars. How do they write the videos like this? Why do they do this? What? You're not okay. I have an excuse. I am a live streamer. If I fuck up like this, I don't have a script that I'm reading off of. You do. This is a scripted and edited video. Why would you structure it this way? Where you say, I'm not going to make this criticism, then make the criticism, then say that you, if given the chance, would do the same thing you're criticizing, and then reaffirm the criticism. Why?
It's champagne socialism, pure and simple. It reinforces the idea of class, and if you're in favor of taxing the rich, you shouldn't be okay with it. Even Hassan agrees with me. See? I want to reiterate.
You can believe in taxing the wealthy while also believing it's okay for popular live streamers to make a lot of money as long as they pay their taxes? They're not... Okay.
What I said at the beginning of the video. Critique of something you enjoy is not a personal attack. You might feel the need to leave a comment pointing out all of their accomplishments and justify their questionable words and actions, or even say something about...
This is very slimy, by the way. This is essentially saying, like, if you want to defend any of the people you like against the criticisms that I've made, it's actually because of the parasocial attachment. I'm not attacking you directly, bro. Calm down. Calm down. Me lying about and misrepresenting the people you care about isn't an attack on you, bro. Chill out. being hysterical.
how I'm jealous or ask what I've done that's so great. For that last bit, though, I will say, don't. This isn't a competition, and you're only reinforcing what I've said. You're being protective of a brand, and you're not helping.
See, it's so interesting that he would accuse people like me of being incapable of handling criticism when he's essentially saying, do not critique me for the points that I've made here, because if you do, that's you falling for the parasocial trap.
Helping. You're more than welcome to criticize me, by all means, but be productive. Don't fall back on that stupid argument. If you do feel angry or upset after all this, I want you to seriously ask yourself why that is, despite the fact that I haven't criticized you personally.
See, I don't even feel parasocial relationships for other people that much anymore because I'm a large content creator. So if there's a large content creator that I like, I can just DM them. But like, even I understand, like, if there's something you like, you want to defend that thing. Like, that can be like with a TV show. Like, if you like a TV show, but somebody makes some shitty criticisms of it, you can be like, hey, what the f-? Like, so like there are a lot of people in Breaking Bad forums who will say that Skylar White is like a shit character, because they're all like 12-year-olds who are mad at their mom, you know? Like, if I go in there and I say, no, she's not, you just don't like the fact that the narrative sort of pushes you towards sympathizing with Walt, and you don't criticize or address that narrative beat, that doesn't mean she's a bad character. And then they're like, dude, I wasn't attacking you. Like, what?
Throughout the 6,000 word length of this video. Why do you believe that Vaush, Hassan, or anyone else that you're a fan of doesn't deserve criticism?
Or other.
If you feel this way, then I can only...
They didn't say don't deserve criticism. What if they think it's bad criticism? So again, it's the condescension. It's like, if you take issue with these points, it's not because you take issue with them. Really, it's that you think you're some kind of like drooling e-slave who can't see past their parasocial relationship and doesn't want any criticism being levied.
Only suggest that maybe it's worth creating some distance between you and the influencer to assess how and why you form this attachment and consider why it's potentially unhealthy. The fact is...
So patronizing. If you take issue with anything I've said, maybe you should go to therapy.
This movement now has figureheads, and the attention market, along with algorithms, decides who gets to represent us. Our ideas are commodities, repackaged in various forms and sold to the public in a way that's hopefully digestible and simple enough to internalize. I don't like that, if I'm honest. I'd rather class consciousness occur in a more holistic fashion, but...
I think this is a misreading of Marxian analysis. Nothing about class consciousness and its nature and its spread has anything to do with like the figureheads or mediums by which it spreads. All throughout human history, ideas have largely been sort of developed by and spread by like figures who are like figureheads of a movement, right? Like you go back to the Enlightenment, or you go back to like the Golden Age of Islam, or you go back to like you know, you go back as far as you want. Like it's not as though like all ideas just kind of propagate in some sort of like miasmatic stew of the citizenry. Like everything just sort of gets equally contributed to and disseminated from. That's not how it works, you know. Marx would be a debate bro if he was alive today. He'd be a tier 3 Vaush sub. He'd be a tier 4 Vaush sub. Dude, Marx would be fucking insufferable if he was around today. All of them were. All of the great leftist theorists are and were insufferable, and they would be today. They would be completely insufferable. This is the case for all philosophers, okay? If you brought like Socrates into the... Have you read anything about like how he developed the Socratic method? He would be despised. People would hate him. Yeah, they'd be Twitter shitposters first and foremost. That's just how it be.
None of us really have that choice. I also don't like knowing that I've contributed to this. It feels oddly exploitative of you, like I'm just saying what people want to hear because the audience gets comfort hearing this stuff from a person with a platform. Educating people is good, but I always thought that given the rot that's spreading in the world, the abuse of workers, the cost of existence, the death of home ownership, and the loss of precious time that we'll never get back, most people would have figured out that things aren't right without someone on the internet explaining why that is.
I really don't like this sentiment. This comes across... Man, this is just really condescending. Maybe this is like an internal thing, and it's not just him condescending at his audience or whatever. But like, this is like, people... Okay, This is one of Chomsky's greatest contributions to culture, okay? Manufacturing consent. The material conditions in which you live are not the sole determining force of what ideological tendencies people are going to be pushed towards. In fact, the material conditions can be supplemented or contradicted by cultural and social forces that are constructed to push people in different directions ideologically. I mean, Americans are quite wealthy compared to many parts of the world. Go to India. Are they all socialists? They're far poorer than us. There are many countries in the world where people experience worse problems when it comes to the availability of resources, the cruelty of their workplaces, the availability of housing, the standards in which they live. Are they all socialists? No, obviously not. If it was that easy, we would have won by now, right? No, you have to make an active effort. Every socialist born out of an argument or reading an essay or a debate or whatever, every single person who gets brought over, that is an effort that has to be made. All right? What this is right here, this is snobbery, okay? There's a reason why the conservatives spend billions trying to move people over towards their positions, to get them fixated on reactionary politics so they don't pay attention to their world getting raped by climate change or corporate greed. They put effort in. We have to put effort in. You can't just cross your arms and sneer at the concept of spreading class consciousness because, oh, I just thought people would naturally arrive at it. No! Life has been shit forever. Always and forever. We're wealthier now than we have been ever in human history. Why would you think, if we weren't all instantly made socialists back in the 1920s, why would we now? You have to put effort in. That's why I do what I do. No wonder you're going to sneer at the work that I do if you think that class consciousness should spread as a product of some kind of natural, inevitable cosmic force. You can't just, it's like, oh, it's just such a shame that this doesn't happen on its own. No! Put the work in. Yeah, TPUSA is just one prominent example out of thousands of examples of so much effort and money being put into these attempts at pulling people over to the right. We cannot afford to be complacent. And all we're talking about here, keep in mind, are like lefty debate bro YouTubers. We don't even have any institutional support. My paychecks come from Google AdSense, okay? I don't have like some big corporate or political backing that I can fall back on the way a lot of right-wing figures do. Basically it's like a competition between two like sort of massive structures, and the right is enormous and like the left is like this teetering little balsa wood ramshackle Jenga mess, and you're pointing out that this mess might not be the best way of competing with the other side when there's like nothing else, you know? You got to put work in.
It's just hard to keep the faith when we have to rely on people like debate bros, or, to a lesser extent, rely on me.
Get therapy. Get therapy. Take a break. Stop being so self-centered. Nobody is impressed by this virtue signaling, oh, I thought better of us all bullshit. Put in the work. Every socialist fought for is a socialist won. Simple as. Queen's dead.
Not going to tell you to stop watching these people. You do whatever floats your boat.
Have a spine.
There's work to be done and not enough coffee in the world to keep people chugging for 24 hours a day, so do what you can. If you want to convince a friend that every time that they clock in at work they're agreeing to 9 hours of exploitation, and that by going the extra mile like the manager insists, then they're just making it worse. If you want to convince them that they'll never be rich, and the reason why they're constantly unhappy is because the stuff they buy to dull the crippling feeling of alienation simply isn't enough, sit down with them and talk to them. Let them know you feel the same. And
did you know that through the magic of modern technology, I'm capable of communicating these ideas to hundreds of thousands of people at the same time? Do you guys know that? I'm not entirely sure how the technology works, but I know it does work. I think it has something to do with a series of tubes.
why? Don't just send them a link to a stream or a video and let that do all the explaining.
why not talk about with them? Okay, what if you talked about it with them and had a personal conversation with a friend? But maybe you could also say, hey, there's this guy that I like, and he goes into it like really in depth in this video, and I think he's pretty funny. And then, like friends do, you can share a piece of media that you enjoy with them. That's like a reasonable thing to do, right? I think. That's quite nice. What if he ends up liking the video, right? Then you'd have given him something to appreciate, right?
Try to connect with other people. Let them know that they're not the only one that thinks that this is all messed up.
Also, notice how this also is not about debate bros. Like, notice how this is also in reference to, like, this could also affect video essays.
Let them know that there are people out there who want to take action, and they're welcome to join.
Did you know that you can keep up to date with union activism by following the right channels online? Did you know that union organizers actually really like it when content creators signal boost them? Yes. I remember when I signal boosted the PCRF over in Gaza, and they were like, I can't believe that you would I can't believe you would denigrate and cheapen the legitimacy of our activism in saving these poor Palestinian children from having their arms blown to bits by Israeli rockets by mentioning it on a live stream and in a video. I don't know what the point here is. What, don't spread information online? Do everything interpersonally? Do you want to live in a death camp for a brief length of time before you die? Like, do you guys realize the logical conclusion of this is do not use any form of mass media to communicate ideas with each other. Do everything interpersonally. Like, do you want to lose? Do you just want to just, buddy, just fucking pre-ink the barcode or the numbers on your arm, okay? Just save yourself time. Like, what the fuck, dude? What is with this PSYOP bullshit? Like, people joke about me being CIA, but like, what is more CIA than these lefty video essayists who are essentially arguing, actually, the only way forward, the only authentic expression of leftist politics is for us to be as weak and powerless as possible. We should not use mass media. We should return to pre-17th century mannerisms. Using pamphlets to communicate ideas with one another. Oh, Marx may have done that, but that wasn't an authentic expression of class consciousness. I just think it's depressing living in Victorian England, thinking that, like, why would I need to spread a pamphlet? Why would I need to spread the Communist Manifesto? When people should be able to just look around and understand themselves that socialism is the way. Like, you realize the arguments he's making would have applied back then too, right? Pamphlet spreading back then was the equivalent. People did form parasocial relationships with writers, imagining themselves friends if they ever could meet. And they did recommend each other reading pamphlets as a way of communicating info rather than just interpersonally spreading everything. This argument is against the concept of mass communication. So, like, whatever, dude. I have no idea why so many lefties are allergic to winning. It's insane to me. It's like they want to die. I don't get it. Well, this guy kind of talks like he wants to die, so maybe this is suicidal ideation, but if that's the case, it's really irresponsible to spread that on a social platform. Okay? Your suicidal ideation is your problem. Do not legitimize it and then spread that to other people.
You do have a voice. Combine them, and don't let other people speak for you.
Whoa, is this a f***ing live stream? Is this the Democracy Now! Live stream? Whoa, we're mixing our message a little bit.
Because one day, you really might not like what they have to say on your behalf.
Wow, that's f***ing deep, dude. Don't watch content creators, because one day the content creator might say a thing you don't like. All right, got it.
Oh, and one last thing before we go. I know this is a bit different, but
Better be good.
if you happen to be Vaush, Hassan, Xanderhall,
Oh no, it's gotta be good.
or anyone else like you, first of all, hi, big fan. Secondly, if by some miracle you end up showing this on your stream,
How'd he know? Your next line will be,
and you didn't ask me if you could air it in
I did ask though. Yeah.
advance, then I should let you know now I don't consent to it. If you did ask, I'll be sure to say so in the pinned comment. If you didn't know, people will know. In which case, tisk tisk. Bye-bye. Well, thank you very much for watching.
I did ask. Why would you put that at the end of the video, like as a trap? I did ask though. I'm showing it on screen in case he does some sneaky bullshit in the future. There we go. Leaked DMs. Now it's enshrined forever. Now it's known. New tactic, I don't consent to being critiqued. Look, I just want to make it clear, okay? I don't know anything about this guy's channel. Maybe a lot of other videos he does are pretty good. You know, it's a relatively large channel, 117,000 views. But like, I don't know how good the videos are generally, so I want to be charitable, like, broadly. I mean, if you take a look at a lot of these videos, you know, Confessions of an Ex-Doomer, TikTok's missing your brain, being a YouTuber is hell unless you're huge. I guess we know where the jealousy comes from. Ben Shapiro, Twitch women, male entitlement, how billionaires tricked you into working more, Sigma males alliance. There's a lot of stuff here that I assume is like pretty good. Maybe his like style of presentation isn't necessarily my thing, but that doesn't mean that it's bad, you know. It's yeah. So I just want to be clear. People have a particular kind of brain damage when it comes to me, and I don't want you to interpret this video, bad as it may be, as a condemnation of this guy's work entirely. You know, it's possible for people to be moved over on stuff like that. But like, if Solari is watching this, and I'm sure that he will, because like, who wouldn't want to watch, you know, me say mean stuff to you? Why do you make critiques that apply to everyone and not just debate bros, then acknowledge the critiques apply to everyone? Then there's no point in bringing it up. Why do you make critiques and then say you're not going to do the critique, but you do it anyway, and then say you would do the thing that you're critiquing if you had the opportunity to? Why are you essentially arguing against the concept of using mass media to communicate with people? Do you want to die? And if the answer is yes, go to therapy. Stop. So often when people criticize me or debate bros, it comes across as like an allergic reaction to power, you know? A lot of people don't see power when they see like a ContraPoints video. Contra videos will get millions of views, but Contra is a trans woman and all the lighting is pink and blue. When they look at that, they see like, you know, an aesthetique, you know, a theatrical presentation of ideas. How delightful. But they see me and I'm a big guy and I'm a white guy and I'm a loud white guy and I'm a loud, strong, big, angry white guy. And they see all these attributes and they see what looks to them like a more hegemonic expression of power, right? When they look at this is like an internet era, like manifestation of cultural power, a loud, angry white guy screaming into a microphone. So they look at this and they think like, oh, well, I don't like this. But what you're looking at, my friend, is power. And power is good when we have it, bad when they have it. When we have it, when we have numbers, when we have money, when we have power, it's good because our ideas are good. If you don't believe that, then you're not a leftist. I don't know. How can you be a leftist but then also believe that leftists having power is bad? I'm not entirely sure how you could parse that one logically. The more power as a leftist you have, the more of an ability you have to manifest your will. And if your will is leftist, which it should be, if you're a leftist, then that is good. But so often these criticisms of debate, you know, it's like the stuff towards the end there was like, yeah, don't use mass media to communicate. What the fuck are you talking about? You can have interpersonal relationships while also spreading stuff over mass media. I have no idea why you would like, it's like the modern mechanism of communication. Like what? Don't do television broadcasts? Was Bernie Sanders like not supposed to do any speeches during the 2020 primaries because him talking about how the you know, the 1% have gotten away with too much, like, and you're like, oh, I wish we didn't have to hear this to believe it, and you turn off the TV and then go walk over to your neighbor's door and knock on it and start like repeating the speech at them. Like, what does this mean, right? Stop being allergic to power. Stop being weak. Stop being weak. Quit being weak. Stop being weak, okay? Achieve power. Seize as much of it as you can. Everything that you can. Every little bit of influence that you can grapple for. You keep it, you hold it, and you use it to do as much good as you can, and inevitably, either you'll grow irrelevant or you'll die. And in either case, that's the end of it. Good luck. I hope you did a lot when you could. That's it. That's all we can do. That's all you can do as a leftist, as any political force. You do what you can, when you can, and eventually one day You will no longer be able to do anything because you fall out of influence or you die. That's it. You can maintain interpersonal relationships while also understanding that the weaponization of mass media is an essential precursor to success in these arenas, in this environment. This is simple stuff. This is very basic politics, by the way. This is like politics. All politics is the ability to get people to do things. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. Politics is just the mechanisms by which people work to make people do things, you know? And, you know, power is very dangerous, but abstemiousness. No Adderall today. Abstemiousness will not reward us with anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Abstemiousness is not an option. It's like how pacifism is trafficking with the enemy, right? If you're up against Nazis and your response to the battle with the Nazis is to go, well, I don't really like fighting. We should stop fighting. F you, then, right? We have to put in our best effort when you're doing good work. When you're doing good work, you have a moral obligation to put in a firm bit of effort. So please do so. Stop. Stop. All I do is participate in a very commonly accepted, very obviously effective diversity of tactics. The ways in which I appeal to people are different from a lot of leftist creators online. So the types of people who might not be moved over by them but would be moved over by me are moved over by me. That's it. That's it. And trust me, and I've said this a million times before, and I'm going to say it again, okay? I exist as a kind of rhetorical shield for a lot of people on the left. See, back in the Gamergate days, there were very few left channels on YouTube. They were usually like 10,000, 20,000 sub feminist critique channels that existed exclusively to get harassed into non-existence by the skeptic community. That was it. People like Sargon of Akkad or whatever, or Thunderfoot or whatever, you know, would just tear through these channels. They would get doxxed, rape threats, harassment, stalked, so on and so forth. You know, because these very intellectual and very logical skeptic channels would watch a feminist video and it would open with a woman with like a blue haircut or whatever, saying like the patriarchy is bad, and then the skeptic would pause and go, the patriarchy, I'm sorry, can you name who's in charge of the Patriarchy Council? These hysterical wouldn't know patriarchy if it was raping them. And then that would go on for about 8 hours. And then by the end of the live stream in which they were doing this, that person would have been doxxed and their channel would be deleted. And that was Gamergate. Am I right? Tell me I'm right. I know I'm right. Like I just want you to affirm that I'm right, because a lot of people here maybe weren't around during that period of the internet. But like that was, yeah. And the whole thing back then was like these big skeptic channels, you know? Like they would always want to debate the feminazis or whatever. But the feminazis wisely didn't want to debate because obviously it wouldn't change anything for them. All it would do is give engagement to the skeptic channels and lead to their doxing and harassment and rape threats and blah, blah, blah anyway. That wasn't the right environment. And so YouTube was incredibly inhospitable to left-leaning channels for a really long time. But now that the left isn't just tiny little feminist critique essay channels, now that the online left on YouTube has a wide variety of people, including debate bros, we have a whole new strategy. Do you see people like Sargon of Akkad rolling around trying to find 10K sub channels to harass anymore? No. It doesn't happen, does it? You know why? Because now when people like Sargon, who's more irrelevant now, but I'm using him because he's kind of like the archetypal Gamergator. Now when people like Sargon start rolling up the harassment train to make fun of, or, oh, debate me if you're so smart, debate me on attack helicopters, you know, what do they see in the comments? Oh, you're so smart and wise. You know who you should really debate? You can see it everywhere. And from 2019 to 2020 to 2021, the right has completely receded from online debates. They have, haven't they? Back before 2019, And let's be clear, the person who kicked this off with Destiny, so we can roll it back further, 2018, which is when it really, really rolled up. But it used to be conservative channels were just frothing at the mouth for debate with anyone and everyone, because by debate, what they really wanted to do was just make fun of the people they were arguing with. And because the people who represented the online left at the time were mostly kind of like, let's be fair, shy, anxious, neuroatypical femmes with an aversion to conflict, they had basically no chance of standing up to any kind of debate, even with the retards that represented the Gamergate community. But then the unbullyable people came around. People capable not only of making good points, but also arguing aggressively. People who could insult, turn a good point. And the right has just completely walked back all of this. The right doesn't do it anymore. Ben Shapiro will now only do his little debate whatsy-whats with college students he can get in a room, or like big production figures that he can get in his show. Steven Crowder has to do these like in-person change my mind bullshit stunts. Dennis Prager used to do debates more widely as well. Charlie Kirk, Temple. You take a look at how they do these debates, by the way. They all have managers now. All the right debates are done either through an agent, or they're done in person, in public, with people with no media training. Those are the two debates that conservatives do now. And that's it. That is it. Because they know that if they just go trolling around YouTube for leftists to find, they're eventually going to run into people who can make them look pretty fucking stupid. This is an essential part of diversity of tactics. What I'm describing isn't some like crazy new innovative like high IQ strategy or whatever. It's like 4 IQ basic shit, you know? It's like learning how to chew gum and walk at the same time. Well, what if we had people on YouTube who expressed the same political positions, but did so in different styles so that they could complement each other's abilities? Whoa, that's crazy, dude. That's wild. Just the people today who are opposed to like leftist thought being expressed through live streaming or through debate legitimately remind me of those like book snobs who didn't think that like any effort should be made in treating the radio like a legitimate form of communication because it was like some temporal fad that didn't have the history or the legitimacy of books. And then they did the same thing with television, and then they did the same thing with the internet, and now they're doing the same thing with live streaming specifically on the internet. And every time it plays out the same way, where they make a bunch of, well, it's not real art because X, and X applies to all art, but they just say it in reference only to this new medium. And then eventually time proves them wrong. They did the same thing with the printing press. They literally made the same argument. They said that there was an authenticity to bookmaking that was lost in the printing press. That real bookmaking required individual like handwriting, and if you couldn't do that, then like whatever, then you're reading some like cheap copy or whatever. Whatever. Just man, I hate this shit. I hate this shit so much. When's the next anti-debate bro essay gonna come out? We gotta be ready for that one so I can ask people, oh, were you moved over by my videos? Yeah. Oh, wow, looks like they are. Yeah. That's basically you with AI? No, it's not. Also die. All right, that's enough. Stop. Oh, this one? Yeah. If you post this image on Twitter, the lefties get really mad at you because they recognize they're the person on the left and they don't appreciate that. It's not my job to educate you. Your views aren't total garbage. What do you want, a trophy? Do your own learning. Google's free. PayPal me. And then over here, you want to know more? Awesome! Here, have some scientific arguments for racism. Wait! Let me get my Muslim rape statistics. Commies and Jews have infiltrated everything. I'm the only educator you could trust. Yeah. Guys, why are we experiencing this neo-fascist cultural wave? Why are all these people moving to fascism? They must have been born with the wrong positions. It's the only explanation.